much for coming today. Yeah, where is it? This one? Okay. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. I will start my presentation by a verse from Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والله أنزل من السماء ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون. And Allah has sent down water from the cloud, and there was given life to the earth after its death. Most surely there is a sign in this for a people who would listen. Next, please. So the subject today, we are talking about the favorite fertilizer for Sahara agriculture. This is how Sahara looks like. Desert everywhere. Presentation, which is an introduction. Bare material and drought of Sahara soils drove its majority to be saline, alkaline, and or calcareous. This challenged the irrigation crops to get its need of nutrients, lowered the efficacy of fertilizers, limited the effects by stimulants, and disordered the plant physiological mechanisms. The favorite fertilizer is presented to build soil fertility, maximize nutrients efficacy, and optimize yield quality. Cultivated land in Sahara usually suffers from poor fertility, lack of plant nutrients, salt accumulation around roots, high soil pH, surface crust, and the formation of hard beds. Hard beds in such regions are formed from lime, gypsum, and or compacted alkaline clay layers, shales. Such soil problems are becoming more serious under conditions of saline water irrigation. However, success or failure of saline water irrigation depend on the 3D movement of salts during wetting and drying cycles. Well, of course, in Sahara, and most of the times we have to actually irrigate with drippers, and as you can see from this, the salt accumulation always happen at the end of the drying zone of drippers. For optimum plant growth and production in soil solution of the root zone, salt balance is more important than total dissolved salts and salt solution of root zone. Activating mobility of nutrients is much more successful than increasing quantity of nutrients. Balanced fertilization programs improve physical, chemical, and biological properties of Sahara soils, which activate mobility of fertilizer elements to root zone and their absorption by plant roots. So we cannot focus only on one aspect of soil fertility. We have to always think of the three aspects of soil fertility all together. I always see so many people focus on probably providing microorganisms to the soil. Well, if it is not chemically and physically in good condition, those microorganisms is going to die. Same if you start work on improving chemical one side and neglecting the other, that's not going to help. Moreover, soils are generally characterized by a double pore system, namely gravitational system that actually take water down, macropores, and capillary system, which actually make the water goes out. Balanced pore system play an important role in soil fertility, especially salt leaching and nutrients retention and root zone. So selection of proper fertilizers for Sahara land is far from being simple. Understanding the fate and the role of each fertilizer element make it easier for setting a proper and balanced fertilization programs, which is crucial for this problematic soils. So in this presentation, we are going actually to take a cycle talking about 4 different elements and the main elements that actually can drive agriculture in Sahara: the crop selection of the crop and variety, irrigation water treatment, irrigation scheduling, management of surface and profile treatment, also selection of fertilizer and supplements, biostimulants, and fertilization programs. Well, this is summarizing the whole lecture. So we'll talk about the 4th quarter and then we end the presentation. The crop, plant response and crop selection for Sahara. Selection of salt-tolerated crops and variety. Proper selection of crops is highly recommended in Sahara. Selection and breeding of salt-tolerated crop variety allow high potential to utilize saline water resources for crop production. Cultivating crops that resist salinity and alkalinity, which has lower water requirement. Many crop failures result from growing crops that has low salt tolerance. Excessive soluble salts causing drought-like symptoms in plant. As you can see from the left-hand side, the salt solution with less salt make it easy for the plant to absorb water. Where there's so much salt in salt solution, plant is unable to absorb water and then it's actually about to die, maybe dead already. Soil salinity accumulation and distribution. Salinity under the drip line is relatively the lowest, and the wetting edge salinity is several times higher than irrigation water or than the salinity under drippers. The pattern of distribution of salts differ according to water salinity, type of the tree cover. As we can see here, the effect of irrigation water salinity and tree cover on salt accumulation in top 30 centimeter under drip irrigation. Always between rows is higher, much higher than actually the wetting edges, which is also much higher than under drippers. And that goes in almost all crops. A specific iron effects. Well, this one, if we talk about it, needs a whole day by itself. The influence of excessive concentration of specific salt on the plant growth is extremely complex subject involving many fundamental principles of plant nutrition. Ions that are frequently found in excess in saline soils include chloride, sulfate, bicarbonate, sodium, calcium, magnesium. Less frequently encounter this excessive amount of potassium and nitrate. Irrigation water treatment and irrigation water scheduling. Saline irrigation water hazard is either direct on plant, on soil fertility, physical, chemical, and biological, on fertilizers and fertilizations. Saline irrigation water hazard is salinity related to total dissolved salt. In the irrigation water, salts left from evapotranspiration either accumulate and prevent cross of moss crop, leached or managed, hopefully. Sodicity, alkali, high SAR with not too high total dissolved salts. High ESP or exchangeable sodium percentage destroys soil structure. Can be managed by applying appropriate multi-purpose soil amendments, which we are going to talk about later in this presentation. Toxicity coming from probably chloride, sodium, boron, or lithium, selenium, molybdenum, chromium, and it's rare in several soils. To shorten an understanding of irrigation water quality, most of the very simple farmers would actually look into the EC, TDS, and pH as parameters for this. Salinity and Alkalinity Control, quality of irrigation water, irrigation practices, drainage conditions, and soil management are involved in salinity and alkalinity control. In establishing an irrigation project, soils that are initially saline require the removal of the excess salt, and many require soil amendments in addition to an adequate supply of irrigation water. Soils that are initially non-saline may become unproductive, and excessive TDS or ESP are allowed to increase. So when we are doing irrigation, we always have to make sure water stay away from, allowed depletion, much away from wilting point, and we keep it between the allowed depletion and field capacity, as we can see here. And field capacity, as you can see here from in the graph at the right-hand side. Yeah, I don't know if this is bringing any light. Yeah, somehow. Okay. So lettuce yield is affected with the increase of actually stress in plant. Once you actually let the lettuce go for longer time under plant stress, of course yield won't get depleted. Talking about soil management, surface and profile, soil treatment. The precondition of salt accumulation. Salt resources coming from local weathering, surface water, subsurface waters and human activities. Transportation agents are from wind, water, horizontal transportation like large watershed with small accumulation area, vertical transportation, geological strata to accumulate riser. Driving force for solution movement, relief, hydraulic gradient, negative water balance, limited drainage conditions, poor vertical drainage of soil profile, poor horizontal drainage of the area. Excessive accumulation of salts has blocked the irrigated land in semi-arid region for the world for centuries. Well, this is a sandy soil that actually at zero time where it started the liquid irrigation, and most likely to contain lots of salts. The one on the right-hand side is an alkaline soil, alkali clay soil, but without salt. As you can see, the cracks in the soil shows. The one below is having a little salt that allow the cracks to be less than this one. And you can see some salt on the surface. This is a saline alkaline soil where it have some false structure. Once you start, washing salt, it will turn into the other one. The salt content of soils above which plant growth is affected depends upon several factors, among which are plant species, soil texture, soil structure, salt composition, soil poor connectivity index, and salt distribution in the soil profile. Well, this is showing how a soil particle carrying several cations can be. Once the sodium cations, the Na, is much more, 15% than the total cations exchange capacity, the soil is alkaline, and then we show the alkalinity effect. Soil amendments for reducing ESP. Well, So we understood now that alkalinity, exchangeable sodium percentage, it's a main issue in different soils in Sahara. So amendment of this condition is very necessary. If we compare available soil amendments like sulfur, sulfuric acid, gypsum, iron sulfate, aluminum sulfate, and lime. Well, if we need 1 ton of sulfur, we'll need 3 tons of sulfuric acid, 5 tons of gypsum, 8 tons of iron sulfate, and 6 tons of aluminum sulfate, 3 tons of limestone. Actually, limestone